Hi, Susan Clare here, GourmetQuilter. I just thought it was that time of year again. We usually do a little Christmassy something, and today I thought we'd have a go at a nice little gift bag. So I thought these were kind of fun, quite smart, and they have a triangle base on them. So just a little bit different in shape and not at all hard to make. So great for using up some leftover fabrics. They wouldn't even have to be Christmassy necessarily. They could just be those nice colours. But Christmassy is always good too. We often have little bits of leftovers. So in order to do that, I simply I've used one colour for the base and I've used another colour for the sides. Now you could make them all different if you've got smaller amounts of fabric. You could make them all the same fabric. And of course I've used a piece of ribbon and I've used another piece for the little cuff that comes over at the top here. So fairly simple in construction. For the base, I've used two pieces of fabric. I thought double was quite good, so that I've got them wrong sides together. And I've cut a 60-degree triangle, so an equilateral triangle for those of you who know what that is. If you don't have a ruler that's that shape that will allow you to do that sort of thing, this is smaller than that ruler, but it's that shape with the 60 degrees in each corner. You may find it, if you have a cutting board a little bit like mine. So if your cutting board's like mine, there's every chance it's got some different markings and things on it. And this line here and here, this little dotted line on this ruler, is actually the 60-degree triangle line. So you could be using that, you could be laying your fabric, I haven't got a piece here, I've cut all my bits out, but you could be laying it here and you can see either side, if you position that across a little bit, to be able to get the next angle and things like that. So there's ways of doing these things, even if you don't have a particular tool. Quite often things like your cutting board or some rulers have markings on, some of the bigger rulers and things like that. So you find that there's lots of things you can do that maybe you didn't realize you could do. So when I cut my triangle out, the sides of my triangle, each side is approximately 6 inches long. And I say approximately because I've kind of clipped a little corner off here and there because we don't really need the actual corners, but basically we're working with a 6-inch 60-degree triangle. And so with my fabric sides, I've cut the strips of fabric to be 6 inches wide, and then I've cut these ones 11 inches long for the height. And so you could vary. If you just want short bags, you could alter the height and things like that. So I've got my two pieces of fabric together here, wrong sides together, because I'm going to treat them as one. I've got one side ready to go here, and I'm going to be sewing that on. So I'm just going to position that on to my 6-inch side triangle, and I'll probably sew it from this side just so that I can see where the triangle is. And then when I sew it, I'm going to just start 1/4 inch in and stop 1/4 inch before I get to the other end, but otherwise just a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but stopping and starting 1/4 inch before each end of the triangle. So I'll go to the machine and get that done now. So I'm just starting approximately 1/4 inch in, 1/4 inch away from the edge. And I'm going to stop approximately 1/4 inch from the other end. So you can see I've stopped and started in there. Oops, that's already trimmed. And so now I'm just going to go around all three sides. Probably come this way next. So I'll just fold that one out of the way, position this one, but again I'm going to be working from this side so that I can see where to start and stop. So again I'm going to start 1/4 inch in, and come along to where I stopped and started at the other end. So you can see there that that's given us a nice point. That's going to allow us to sew these edges together nicely there. So I've got one more side. So I'll go ahead and do the next side, and then I'll show you the side seam. So before I sew up the side seams of the little bag, I've decided that I would like to have my edges finished off. So I'm just overcasting them with a zigzag stitch. So if you're going to do that, don't forget to change your foot. That will allow you to do a stitch with a swing on the needle. And I've set it to about 2.5 wide, the swing. And then so I'm just going to go along this seam edge here, and that just stops any fraying that might occur, just in case somebody really likes the bag beyond the gift stage and wants to use it. So I've done that around the base because I just felt it was easier to do before I do the sides. I will also be doing it on the side seams as well, just so any raw edges are just taken care of. So now I'm going to start on the side seams, so I need to change my foot and my stitch back. I'm working with my 1/4 inch foot. And back to the 0. Put that on. And now all I need to do is these 3 seams here, and I find it's easier to start from the base, and you can see where you've stopped and started with your stitching, so it should be approximately 1/4 inch in from the edge. And so I just start at the bottom edge there and come all the way along to the other end. So there's 3 seams to do like that, so I'll go ahead and do these seams and overcast them with the zigzag stitch, and then I'll show you how to do the top. So I've joined together 2 of the seams, and I thought I'd just pop back and just show you before I do the 3rd one. These corners are coming out quite nicely here, and so this one here, I'm just doing the 3rd one, so it's really just making it into a triangular tube, if you like, and then we'll be overcasting and putting the top on. So I thought you might just like to see how it was coming together. I've sewn my 3 sides, and I've done my overcast stitching on those 3 seams, and so now I need to make the top part, the little piece that comes over the top. So I've cut my strip here. So the strip is as long, if you are altering your sizings, the strip is long enough to go all the way around the top and have a little seam allowance, so 1/2 inch longer than the measurement around your bag. So I'm just going to open that, and I've cut it 5 inches wide, so this is 2.5 inches on each side there. I'm just going to just sew a 1/4 inch seam, and then I'm going to pop that into the top of the bag and sew it to it. I am going to press this now. I just want to press that seam open. And then I want to press that, fold that in half so that it's in a loop, so that the raw edges are all sitting nicely together, because we need those so that we can sew them. And we don't need the iron again for a little while. And now I'm going to, you might want to pin this in place, or you could just make it fit, or you could use some clips. I'm going to use some clips. So I have turned the bag the right side out now, and I've got my top strip here. So we're going to position the top strip so by putting it inside the bag. So the right side of the top strip goes to the wrong side of the bag, and I'm going to match up that seam that we put in the top strip to one of the seams, and we can just pin it or clip it in place, and we could do the same with the opposite side. So, and you can do that just by sort of reaching to do that. So you could put another clip in between on each side, or pin, whichever way you're going, just to hold everything nicely in place, make it easier to go around. Seems a little bit back to front because we're sewing it to the inside with the right side with a raw edge, but we'll be covering that in a minute. So now I just need to stitch all the way around that top edge with my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Taking the clips out as I go. back at the beginning. We're actually going to be flipping this over and stitching it down to cover that raw edge. So I'm going to suggest at this stage that we trim that edge just a little bit less than the 1/4 inch, not trimming off very much. You could trim it with the scissors, or you could just come along and just tidy it up, really is all we're wanting to do. Let's take the little whisker off. Oops, just a bit of my whisker. And now I want to bring that cuff up there, and I'm going to flip that over and stitch that down about a 1/4 inch away from the fold. So that encloses all of that raw edge then. It may be a good idea to press this at this stage. I might do that because it makes it easier to sew that over. So just want to press it right along that seam line. So I've got that nicely pressed over at the top there, and because we want to sew around there, it's actually easier to sew it if we turn the bag back inside out again. And now just sew approximately 1/4 inch from that folded seamed edge. And I've just left the red thread in. I quite like the red on it. You might want to change the colour. So just come all the way around. So that's that bit done. However, we still need to pop the ribbon on. So I found it, turn the bag back out the right way again. And flip the cuff up. And because I put the join of the cuff at one of the seams, I'm just treating that as the back. It doesn't have to be the back. And then I've cut my ribbon. I've cut this about 25 inches long. And I just want to find the center of that, and I'm going to lay that right over that seam, or near enough, just there, just below where the cuff is joined. And I'm just make sure that bit that we've just created is out of the way, and then sew that on just along the seam line. So you're just sewing the piece of ribbon on just there. So that it sits there quite nicely for you, ready for you to pop something very delicious inside the bag. Flip the cuff. Well, you can tie it up first. I've got our bag the right way out. I found leaving the cuff up while I fill it is a good idea, and I've got a very delicious jar of trimmed away half square triangles ready to use. What a great gift for somebody. They could make something out of all your trimmed away half square triangles, and I'm going to pop that inside there. You could put something bigger in here, but this is all I've got to hand at the moment. And then I'm going to tie that ribbon around. Now you can decide whether you want to tie it into a knot or a bow. If you just want the strings hanging, you could tie just the knot and they could hang down. You could trim them to a length. You could tie it into a bow and then just fold the cuff down. You do see a little bit of the bag. You can adjust that a little bit, but it was just so that everything is tidy in spite of seeing a little bit of the inside of the fabric. And there you have a delicious gift bag in 3 sizes. Now how wonderful is that? Wouldn't they just look amazing under the tree, or just taking them as a gift when you're going to visit someone, or when somebody walks in the door that you've got a gift just ready to hand them. So that was a little triangular gift bag idea for you this time of year, or any time of year. Make it in any fabrics you like, and it would be a great birthday gift wrapping, or just because you've got a friend you want to give a gift to. So that was it from me this time. Thank you. I'll see you again with the next video.